Okay, now, when it says estimate the difference, estimate does not mean guess. Okay, so I don't say, oh, 4,800, 263 minus 2,742. I think that's going to be about 2,434. That's my guess. No. Estimate does not mean guess. Estimate means we round first. Okay? So step 1 is going to be round the numbers. Step 2, if it's estimate the difference, what does difference always mean? What does difference mean?
Subtract.
It means subtract. The difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So step 2 is subtract. Hopefully I can fit this in here. And it looks like I can. Great. Okay? Now, am I going to say, wait, this is 4,000, the next number is 8, that goes up to 5,000, and write 5,000 right here? No? People are shaking their heads no. Some people are shaking their heads yes. Someone who shook their head no and thinks, no, it's not going to be 5,000. Who can raise their hand and tell me why? Who can tell me why I'm not going to say, oh, that first number is 5,000 because there's a 4 in the thousands place and 8 in the hundreds place. It makes it go up. Alec.
Because it's rounding to the nearest hundred.
Rounding to the nearest 100.
So you would have to round that 8 with a 6.
Yes, so what we do, just like we did when we were only rounding numbers, is we have to underline the number in that place. So when you have your problems, you have to read and be careful as to what it's saying to round to. It could say 100,000, okay? And you may just see 100 and move on. Or you may just see 1,000 and go on to that. You have to look to see exactly what it says. And in this case, it says 100. So just like the other ones, we underlined the number that we're rounding to. Now, if I'm going to round, who can tell me what happens to the number before the underline? Before the underline. What always happens with the number before the underline? Or numbers. If this number went all the way up into the tens and hundred thousands, we'd have about 3 numbers before the underlined hundreds digit. But what do we do to the number or numbers before? No. Zachary. No.
Change them to zeros.
No.
You keep the number.
They stay the same. The number before the underline always stays the same. Okay? That should be right there in our brain right now. So 4. Now I have to look at my underline number and the number after it. There's an 8 and the number after it is a 6. So what happens to this 8? Is it going to stay the same or is it going to go up to a 9? Ryan. Why is it going to go up to a 9? Yes, anything 5 or more rounds up. Okay? So this is going to become a 9. Now what happens to every number after the underline? After the underline number. So underline numbers in a hundreds place. What happens to all the numbers after the underline? Kylie. All of them become a 0. Okay? Now, what number is going to go in the thousands place? We have a 2, a 7, a 4, and a 2. What number is going to go in our thousands place? Darian. A 2. Because every number before the underlined digit does what? What does it do, Darian? Every number before the underline always does what? You had it right as a 2. Because what, Natalie? It stays the same, right? So that's why when you gave me that answer of 2, it was a right answer. Because every number before the underline stays the same. Now I have my 7 and I look at the one right next to it, the one that comes next, the one right to the right of it, it's a 4. So what's going to happen to this 7 right here? Mason S. It's going to stay the same, and why?
Because the 4 is not bigger than 5.
Yeah, the 4 has to be a 5 or greater for this to go up. And then what happens, class? Tell me on 3. What happens to all the numbers after the underline? 1, 2, 3?
It becomes zeros.
Yeah, I heard turn to zeros. They become zeros. Either one of those is correct. They become zeros. Okay? Now I have my numbers ready to set up my subtraction problem. Put my subtraction sign right there. 0 take away 0 is 0. 0 take away 0 is 0. 9 take away 7 is 2. Got my comma. 4 take away 2 is 2. Okay? Now that's what happens if it is to the nearest 100. Okay? Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to write a different one. The same thing as up here, but it's going to say nearest 1,000. Okay. Move this up a little bit. And I'm going to give us 2 new numbers. Actually, no, I'm going to use the same numbers as before, because we can use those numbers, but the answer is going to be different. Okay? What number should I underline in the top and bottom numbers? In the top number, which one should I underline? Andrew. Why? Yes, the nearest 1,000, and the 4 is in the thousands place. Who can tell me what number I'm going to underline in the bottom one? Justin.
You're underline the 2.
The 2. The 2 on the right or the 2 on the left?
The left.
The left, yes. And why?
Because we're rounding to the nearest 1,000, not the zeros.
Not just the ones, but yeah. Good job. Okay. So I underline. I look over here. Who can tell me what number is going to be on top of our new subtraction problem? Paul. 5 what? 5,000. That's right. I like how you pointed up to say that 4 is going to round up to a 5, and then you told me the 1,000 after. Awesome. Now, what about this bottom number, 2,742? Nathan. 3,000, because right next to it is a 7, and 7's greater than 5, isn't it? So this is going to bump it up to a 3. 3,000. Then I'm going to subtract lots of zeros, which makes it nice. 0 take away 0 is 0. 0 take away 0 is 0. 0 take away 0 is 0. 5 take away 3 is 2. So what's kind of neat is when we round it, we estimated the difference to the nearest 100. It was pretty close to when we estimated the difference to the nearest 1,000. Okay. So remember, estimate does not mean guess. It just means we have to round first. And what we're going to round to is which one it tells us. So in this case, it was the 100. We underlined the hundreds. This one, it was the 1,000. We underlined the thousands. The key is to pay attention to which place it tells you, because sometimes it can get tricky. Okay?